So I was born in Jamaica, in a little town. It's a small place, very small place. Hanover, Lucy is the capital. In the war, my father was away in the war. He was in Egypt and places like that. So eventually, after the war, my mother and my older sister went to join him. And the rest of us kids, there are 8 of us all together. The rest of us kids went to live in Kingston with my father's cousin, whom we call Auntie, out of respect. But I and two of my siblings stayed with her for about 2 years, so my parents could save enough money to send for us to come and join them. I finished growing up in London, England, and so I went to school there for a short while.
So was that elementary or high school?
This was high school, but when I went, it was an all age school, but you know, yeah. So I graduated from there age 15. At that point, because that was the school leaving age, unless you're going to go to college. So when I informed my father that I'd like to go to college, he had this strange look on his face, and I thought, uh-oh, now what? So I said, I'm sorry, but you have to find a job. Mama and I won't be able to help too much longer. You know, things are getting really tough, you know. So I had to leave school and find a job. At first I was really angry. I thought that's not fair because my older sister was allowed to go to nursing school and I just wanted to be a secretary. But it's part of life. I thought, oh well, whatever, you know, something good will come of it at some point. So I started working. It was a small place, photographic place where they developed all the photographs, you know, personal photographs. So I worked there for a while, but what I used to do is every break I had, I would go down to the office area, which I was not allowed to be because I was I was not an office staff. And I'd watch the girls typing and so on and so forth, and I'd say, I need to learn that. So when the supervisor was away, you know, they allowed me to type. Then I started filing. I thought, okay, so I do like office work, so I'm not going to stay here forever. But then the supervisor caught me one day and she got really upset, really upset. But the manager or the director of the organization liked me, thank God. So I had run, instead of going straight up to my office, to my space where I work, I had gone down to the basement and up to the back steps. And wouldn't you know it, I had to run right into the director at the back steps. What are you doing here, he said. I said, oh, sorry, I got lost. So he started talking. He said, you know, tell me about yourself. So, you know, we talked for a little while, and he said, ah, so you want to do office work? Okay, well, I'll tell Miss, whatever her name was, to give you a chance to learn to type. So only during the break, though. Don't do this in my time when you have to work. And I said, okay, it's fine. So that's where it started. So I learned to do typing and filing, and that was it. The thing with jobs, when you first start, you don't know what to expect, if you're going, coming, or whatever. So at the beginning, I wasn't ready to sort of just rush off. But eventually, I did leave that place and I went somewhere else. And it was a firefighting equipment type of organization. They made the instrument somewhere else, but we in the office would do all the paperwork, you know, get things sorted out for them. And eventually, I worked there about 5-6 years. But after the first year, my manager came to me and decided that I could be a supervisor. So, wow. However, guess what? People I was supervising were older white women. Were they pleased with me? No, they were not. They were so upset. I mean, you could hear them bickering all the time about it. I thought, this is good, you know.
But did that affect your work? Did you feel threatened?
Oh, no. I just did my work as if nothing was going on. But I started going to night school to learn to type better. And decided to do some courses. I did English, I did German and French. And it's really funny because I still don't speak French. I don't speak German for sure. Because if you don't practice it, you lose it, right? But Jamaica got independent in 1962. And later on, during the 60s, late 60s, I realized that, oh, so we're Jamaicans now, we're not British anymore. So I need to do something about this. So I reapplied to get my British status because I'm living in England. So, and when I got mine first, and then I encouraged the rest of my family to get theirs. So I had that, and I mean, in the meantime, I've been traveling back and forth with my old British passport. But I didn't want to get a Jamaican passport because you can't really go anywhere without a visa. So first of all, we started going to like Paris, Holland, you know, whatever, for the weekend or a couple of days or whatever. And that was great. I thought, oh, I really like traveling. Came out the train station, came running upstairs, and someone handed me a newspaper. And on the front of it said, would you like to travel? And I said, sure. I'm talking to myself as I'm reading, I'm going along the road. And I said, where are we going? And it says, would you like to go to Canada or US? I thought, hey, I could go to Canada. So I read it some more. Are you a nurse or would you like to be a nanny? Something that was nursing nanny. And I thought, well, I hate nursing. I don't think I'd do that now. But nanny, I could play with kids for a little while. So I applied and I came to Canada. I came in 72, spent a year. Actually, it was meant to be a year. I spent 4 months because I didn't like the person I was working with. She was really terrible.
What happened?
She listened to your phone calls, and you know, she'd say, oh, you didn't make up my bed. And I said, but I don't make up your bed. I'm a nanny. I look after your kids, not you. You know, that kind of stuff. We'd go back and forth. And of course, she thought I was very rude and everything. And I thought, well, not only am I rude, but I can get my fare and I can go home. So it was close to Christmas, and October to be exact, and she said, are you going home for Christmas? And I said, no, why would I want to do that? And I thought, I was on the phone with my sister-in-law, and she heard me talking, and we talked about Christmas, so she was listening. Okay, so come December, I said nothing about it anymore. I forgot all about it. I pretend I forgot about it. So I was talking to my sister-in-law again, and I said, you know what, I think I will come home. So when I told her this, I'm going to go home for Christmas, so I'll see you in the new year. And of course she believed me, because when I came upstairs, I had just my one suitcase on my hand, right? So she didn't realize that I'd left. I literally walked out, because I just thought she was just so too rude. Sometimes she'd take a day off and literally, oh, can you make me lunch? I said, no, I'm a nanny. I look after the kids. And besides, you haven't paid me for 2 months. So you need to pay up now. So that kind, you know, so we had that kind of interaction all the time. She was from Australia. Her husband is a Fijian Indian. So this man is darker than I am, but at the same time she's talking about me and my family being dark. So I went home, stayed for a year, then I came back, but I didn't come back to her. I came back with my landed status and everything, and I started working in offices. So I actually got to do what I wanted to do.
The secretarial work?
Secretarial work. Developing the x-rays, I had no idea what I was doing, but they trained me, so that was great. I did that.
You just wanted something different?
Something different. As long as I could work and pay my way, no problem.
I'm particularly fascinated by your life in the United Kingdom. It sounds like something that you really enjoyed.
Oh, I did.
Even traveling.
Yes. Because when I think back on it, you know, it's funny. Sometimes when I'm talking to someone, I say, I'm going home. I'm not talking about home Jamaica, I'm talking about home in London. Because that's, to me, like, although we were shown prejudice, we were shown bad times or whatever, but somehow it's home. You know, I'm quite comfortable being there. My parents went back after they both retired. They went back to Jamaica, and both of them passed away down there. But my siblings are all in London. I diploma for HR at Algonquin. So it took me 3 years at night, because I go two times a week for 3 years. Can't remember how I even got involved in the first meeting at LCSA, but somehow I got there, and there was a supervisor looking after women who were domestics, and some of them have been here for a long, long time, like 5 years, 15 years, whatever. When they were leaving, they probably had a baby, probably 3 months old or whatever, but they had to leave, because if they didn't leave at that time, the working visa would be cancelled, right? So they had to leave. Anyway, so I found out that a lot of these women were here and didn't have a passport, didn't have a visa, because the person they worked for wouldn't allow them to change their job. They threaten them, or tell them silly stories about what immigration would do with them if they didn't, do their work properly and stay put and whatever. And then I would say, so I would tell them that, no, that's not right. There is a law against this. So if you want to change your job, first of all, you look for the job. Once you got it, then you can just give her notice and you move to the next place. Anyway, so people were, I met so many people, I don't even remember how many women I met. Because I'd be walking down the street downtown and someone would say, hey, I haven't seen you for a while, where have you been? Or they tell me about what happened with them, how they've progressed since we last spoke or met or whatever. So I had them to get their immigration status sorted out.
And that's not something anyone will forget in a hurry.
And you know what? I never really thought about it in any particular way that I'm helping these people. I just did it. It was just, you just help people, that's it, that's all. Very often I was met and bumped into or whatever down in Regent Street, and people would say to me, oh, do you know what? I got so-and-so passport sorted out and so on and so forth. And I did some this. But when I came to the office, you weren't there, and I said, to the office, which office? You mean the High Commission? I left there like 16 years or 10 years ago, whatever.
You worked at the High Commission, the
Jamaican High Commission, yeah. And that was a fluke. That was a fluke because I had hysterectomy, so I was home recovering. I think I went out that day, probably went downtown. Anyway, I was out and I came home, my husband said, oh, call this number. And I said, what is it? And he said, I think it's you're a High Commissioner or something like that. Because my husband is from St. Lucia, from Jamaica, right? So I called, apparently they had a vacancy, or they needed help with the telephone, for someone to man the telephone, because the person who was there before, I think she had a baby or she had surgery or something, I can't remember now what happened. So she was away, so they needed someone for 1 month. I went in for 1 month and stayed for 5 years, or was it 6 years, I don't know.
Oh my God, you went for 1 month?
1 month.
And you stayed for 5 years?
Absolutely. For some reason, because of my accent, right, they decided that they want me to be on the phone all the time, and I said, I don't be on the phone all the time, that's crazy. But I mean, that's what I started with. I mean, I did that in Britain when we were doing the card, you remember those cards you see on TV? I used to remember those boards. Those are difficult. It looks easy, but it's quite difficult. And then, so anyways, I did switchboard here for them for a while. And when time was up, they said, oh, why don't you work in such a space for so-and-so because they're on vacation next week. Okay, whatever. So it went on like that until I was doing the passports, literally writing the passports. Back then we used to do it by hand. So I had to produce passports, issue visas, all that kind of stuff.
Through that, you were able to also help so many people who needed help at the High Commission, right? Because
even with the application form, strangely enough, citizenship office was very close by. We were on Slater Street at the time. So I just tell them where to go get the application. They'd come back and I help them to fill them in and get it all sorted out in 2-2s. They'd have a citizenship. They could travel back and forth without a problem now. They didn't have to have a visa back then either, so that was a good thing.
So you're a people's person. Wherever you go, you help people.
I certainly try. CISA and NCAR was sort of the two big organizations for black people to be seen in, right? So I'm with NCAR, which is the one with the police, and somehow I was on the board. But I was on the board for both organizations. It's a program that the police and public was doing together. So they wanted the youth to join the police force. So we'd interview them and decide who was doing it for the sake of a job, or who was really interested in law enforcement or whatever. So there'd be two separate groups. So especially the black ones, they do a course, it'd be like a 2-month course, where they ride with the police and go to seminars and so on and so forth. And then they graduated from all of that. being a member of the Jamaican Association, back then it was huge. The membership was really huge. Anyway, we went in, and about a month or so after I started being there, they had a women's auxiliary. And the leader had decided that she has to quit because she's too busy. She was doing some courses at night school or something like that. And they couldn't find someone to take over. So after a while I said, you know what, I'll try it. Why not? So I did. And I became the chairperson. So we started, because everything we do, you have to try to raise funds, right? We started doing brunches first. And then we did bus rides and anything to make, to gain money or whatever. So we do that. The brunches we started off, it was really funny at McNab. So people come in and they love the food so much. Next year they'll come back. So we start off our first bunch will be in April. Where I work, but not with Jamaican Association. This one was with the women's group, and then we do ours in June. We end up cooking for hundreds of people. Sometimes the meetings would be, the brunches would be on Parliament Hill. The group that I first started off with, the women's group, the chairperson informed me that we were talking about doing things for different people one time, and she said, there's an organization that someone told me about, I'm going to check it out and let you know what's going on. So she told us all about it. It was, you adopt a grand, talk about the fact that it could be like adopting a child from Children's Aid. But the child doesn't live with you, you just adopt them, but it's only on paper. You just pay for their food and clothing and so on and so forth. So this is what that was. Through Salvation Army and LBH Canada, the first question was, how are we going to pay for this person? So we adopt one grandmother, but how do we pay for her keep, and so on. So we did a bus trip. Montreal was doing their Jamaica Day, because we have a Jamaica Day every year. So we got a bus here, we rented a bus here. When you rent the bus, you rent a driver as well. They give you a driver in the bus. And so then we went to Montreal and enjoyed ourselves for Jamaica Day in the park down there. And when we came back and we checked up all, checked everything, we do that again, because it was what can I say? It was very good, because you made them enough money to send for the adopted grant, and then you still have some change left over to pay for all the bills or whatever. Everyone has to pay a certain amount for the bus. So the bus costs $2,000 each, and I think 65 seats in the bus. Big bus. Anyway, so then you make sure that people pay maybe $40 or $30, whatever the cost was at the time. Because things have changed over the years. And then we send this money to Help the Age Canada, and they will send it to Jamaica. So that's how we started off. There's Salvation Army down there as well, because they have other branches of Salvation Army all over the world. So there's, in Kingston, this particular Salvation Army got in touch with Help the Age Canada for the assistance in funding for grandmother. So we adopted that grandmother. So after she passed, and she died, another grandmother was adopted. And it's been going on since whatever year it was that we started it. Coming to Canada was not a problem. So that's a challenge.
But when you got into Canada?
Well, in a way, with the jobs, it was hard to find jobs, because in London I was used to going to an agency, employment agency. Just walk in, fill in an application form, have an interview, and no time at all, I'll do your job. I couldn't find anything here like that.
You didn't have employment agencies in Canada at the time? Because I know they have them now. Oh, they have them now? Yes.
Yeah, I guess there may have been some agencies around, but I didn't really know of them. And the friends that I had at the time they weren't really helpful either, because a lot of them did domestic work. So they worked in the hospitals or nursing homes and so on and so forth. Personally, myself, I didn't really suffer too much with racism myself, except with, like I was telling you, the German women in the office where I was supervisor, and they were older women. I mean, that's prejudice, but I didn't let that bother me. I'm trying to compare Canada to London, Ottawa to London. But when I went to Nova Scotia, I realized, yeah, it's there, and it's quite heavy, but it's very subtle as well. Very subtle.
Racism.
Racism.
Yeah.
We were born free. We live freely all our lives. And to have someone try to take away your freedom at this age, there's no way. It doesn't make sense. But I think strangely enough, we're still at the point where we're separated. We're still not together, all the black people. Every once in a while you get things going that way where we're all together. We do some things together, but we're still not all together. For instance, Kwanzaa, for last year, 2023. I went to a Kwanzaa function, and it was the biggest one in Ottawa. And I looked around the room, and there were Africans, there were Caribbean people, there were Haitians. Because for some reason, in my mind, this is how I separate us. We're either Africans, Asians, or Caribbean people. And there are a few black Canadians as well. So and that was a unique thing, because there was so much mixture. It's just a hope I have, rather than advice. Really, I would hope that we could get together, get to know each other, and realize that we might look different, we might do things differently, but we are one people. Well, I feel privileged that I'm able to do that. I'm happy that I'm able to, that people who know me can say, oh, she's got all these certificates and whatnot, and how the heck did she get them? I worked for them, but I didn't work for that. I didn't go in thinking I must get a certificate or whatever. That binder is full of certificates. I just go to work, go to church, and come home and sit down. Do something, because there's always something going on somewhere. I'm the first of my mother's kids, so there's 5 of us, so there's 8 kids altogether. And like I said, they all live in Britain.
So when did you get married?
Back in, what year was that? Oh my goodness, way back, 66 or something.
In London?
Oh yeah.
And how many children do you have?
Just one. I have one child and he has 3.
Okay. All right. And where is he and where are the children, your grandchildren?
Oh, they're all here in Ottawa.
Yeah. How are they doing?
They're doing fine. They're out in Kanata.
Ah.
Yeah.
So they're within your neighborhood here. They can drive and come to see you.
Oh yeah.
They can go to see you.
Yeah, and they come quite often. My youngest granddaughter, but there's only one girl, 2 boys and 1 girl. And granddaughter, once she got her license, I just keep on calling. So what are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing whenever? Oh, by the way, I need a ride to go, but so I want to see how she maneuvered her car, and she does pretty well.